What is good, everybody? It is your boy Super Saiyan Cat back with another Xenoverse 2 skill test video for you guys today. We are going to be testing Ruf Ranger literally against all other counters in the game, or basically you could just say that we're going to be testing all counters against each other, because this is something that a lot of people have asked for through time a lot. I just never really got around to it, and I figured what perfect way to do it rather than with a whole brand new counter skill. So the way we're going to do this, guys, is first we're going to do all the key-based counters on my Super Saiyan Blue Gohan CAC. Then we're going to switch over to my Gogeta CAC, which is my strike-based, and then showcase all these strike-based counters as well. Now, one thing I do want to mention before we get this video started, guys, is for those who, comments. Usually I reply to almost all comments, guys. It's just lately, obviously, with DLC 6, I've been very, very busy with just trying to get videos out, editing, and things like that. So if I have not been replying as much as I usually do, guys, I do want to say I apologize for that, because, again, I know a lot of people know that I usually reply to, like, at least 70% of my comments, and I always try to do so, but recently I've been very busy. So I just wanted to say that real quick. But let's get into the skill test between literally every single counter in the game. Alright, guys, let's get this skill test started, and obviously we have to do it a bit different than we do regular skill tests, because counters are not like regular skills. So what we're going to do with these counters is test the damage, test the window of opportunity, and what I mean by that is how long does the counter last to where if your opponent attacks you will still actually counter them, and then obviously talk about what type of key based or strike based moves, what kind of moves they actually counter. So let's get it started with the moves that counter strike based attacks, and starting it off with Godbreaker. Godbreaker, once Trunks decides to attack, is going to give you a total of 3,123 damage. And again, this counters all strike-based moves. If your opponent throws a key shit at you, you will not be able to counter this. Just keep that in mind. Now, moving on to the next one is Sudden Death Beam. Sudden Death Beam also does counter strike-based moves. Now, one thing to keep in mind with Sudden Death Beam, though, if you do not land the counter, as you see right there, you're just going to appear behind your opponent like this all day, every day. So you just got to keep that in mind, because that when you appear behind that like that, if you do not use the counter, you can be punished very, very easily. So again, just keep that in mind with Sudden Death Beam. It is a bit different. Also, some people have used it to get close to people who like to run a lot. You can do it for that as well, but again, just keep in mind that it can be punished if your opponent knows what he is doing. Now, moving on to Change the Future. Change the Future may say, I believe it says that it counters strike-based moves in the skill list description, but it actually counters key-based moves, guys, as you're about to see right here. Hold on, Trunks, just chill with the Shining Slash, bro. But as you see right there, Change the Future is a move that counters key-based moves, and it does 3,123 damage, just like Godbreaker does. Let's showcase it one more time. And again, it does 3,123 damage. So now what we're going to talk about before moving on to all the counter moves that are for strike characters, we're going to showcase the window of opportunity with these counters. How long is the window of opportunity with them? And with Godbreaker and Change the Future, guys, I just want to mention that they are literally exactly the same. I just used Godbreaker the first time and Change the Future the second time, and you probably could not even tell. That is also somewhat of an advantage, because when your opponent does use these, you don't know which he's using, whether it's going to counter a strike-based move or a key-based move. So again, just keep that in mind with Change the Future and Godbreaker. They have the same animation and the same window of opportunity. Now, Sudden Death Beam's window of opportunity really isn't that large, because you're going to appear behind your opponent. You're going to vanish fairly quickly. It's about maybe a second long, if that. So again, Sudden Death Beam's window of opportunity for the counter is really not that large, but again, you will appear behind your opponent, which is different from every other single counter in the game. Now, that's all the key-based counters, all counters that work for are better for key-based characters. Now we're going to move on to the counters that are for my strike-based CACs. Alright, guys, now we're on my Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta CAC, which is my strike-based Saiyan. So of course we're going to test all these strike-based moves. Now we're going to have to do this in 2 rounds, because as you see, I don't even have Ruf Ranger on this preset. There are too many strike-based counters to where I could not fit them all on one preset. So the way we're going to do this again is we're just going to test the damage and the frame of opportunity for the counters, how long the window actually is to where you can counter your opponent, and then obviously just show which it counters, whether it's strike-based or key-based attacks. So getting it started with all the ones that counter strike-based moves, let's change Trunks to Super Attack 2. And let's get it started with Pressure Sign, and Pressure Sign is going to do you a total of 2007 damage. Now the thing about Pressure Sign, guys, it got a major buff to where it is a lot quicker now. It used to be a lot slower to where you can vanish it like fairly easy. Like it was insanely easy to vanish this move once you got actually hit by, like, once the counter happened. At that point, right before that kick, it was insanely easy to vanish. Now do not get me wrong, you can still vanish this move very easily. It does not take much. Like, it's just a lot faster, so it's able to catch people off guard at times. But again, you can still vanish this move with no problem all day, every day. So moving on to the next one, which is Super God Shock Flash. Super God Shock Flash is going to do you a total damage of 900 damage, as you guys see right there. Now it doesn't do the most damage, but it is completely safe. There is no way to get out of this, no way to get around it, and I'm guessing that's why it only does 900 damage, because again, it is completely safe as a counter to where there is nothing you can do about it once it actually lands, as you guys see. So moving on to the next one, which is Burst Rush. Burst Rush, on the other hand, is going to give you a grand total damage of 3,510 damage, guys, which so far is the most damage that we've gotten from any counter, period. Out of like literally all of them, this is the most damage we've gotten from anyone. And really the main reason, one of the main reasons why you see a lot of people using Burst Rush online as their favorite counter. The other reason is because right there, as you guys see, I was close to Trunks to where I could literally continue a combo afterwards. That is another reason that Burst Rush is very well liked across the community as a lot of people's favorite counter in the game, because usually you can continue into combos. You can like fire a Kamehameha at that point afterwards if you're too high on the map, or if you're low, again, you can continue into a combo and things like that. So that is mainly why people absolutely love Burst Rush as a counter. But those are all the strike-based ones. Now Shadow Crusher, on the other hand, is a key-based counter. You have to counter it with Ki Blast type attacks. So let's get him to use his burning attack. And as you guys see right there, Shadow Crusher does a total of 2,257 damage. Basically what it does is just you appear right in front of your opponent after they fire their Ki Blast, and you attack them just like that. And it does, again, 2,257 damage. And I really love this one because it's like a replica of Cooler's Shadow Crusher, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. What he did against Goku when Goku fired the Kamehameha. Basically, again, just like a replica of it. So I really do like the move for its authenticity. Now, after we do this one more time, now let's test the actual frame, the duration of opportunity that you get with these counters. Starting off with Pressure Sign. Pressure Sign's duration for opportunity is pretty decent. It's not too long, but it's not too short at the same time. It is decent for sure. Shadow Crusher, on the other hand, this one has a pretty long duration. I believe like it's a bit longer than Pressure Sign, not by much at all though. Super God Shock Flash, this one has a very quick counter window. As you guys see right there, the window is not long at all. It is very short. Same goes with Burst Rush. Burst Rush has the shortest window out of all counters in the game, but it is the most rewarding if you do land it, because again, it does the most damage, and on top of that, usually you can use it to counter into other things as well. But that's it for these counters. Now we're gonna move on to the last counter, which is Ruf Ranger. Alright guys, now we finally have Ruf Ranger. Again, this is the last counter that we have to test, and we're going to do it the same way. The different thing though about Ruf Ranger is that it actually counters both. It counters every single type of attack in this game. Now there is two different type of counters it comes with though, for whether you are up close or far from your opponent. If you are far from your opponent, no matter what type of attack, this is what's going to happen with Ruf Ranger. If, again, you are far from your opponent. I think I did that a bit too early. I did. Okay, so hold on, Trunks. Let me just chill, bro. Okay, this man Trunks is pissing me off now. You see why you're a training dummy, bitch. But as you guys see right there, all that happens when you do use it from far, if you are not up close and personal with your opponent, is that this barrier is going to be put up. Now, to cancel this barrier, all you have to do is press whatever button you have it set to. Again, as you guys see right here, I canceled the barrier very quickly. Or you could just leave it up by not pressing anything, and it stays up for a decent amount of time, as well, as you see right there again. Now, the other use for Ruf Ranger, no matter where you are, whether you are up close in your, no matter what type of attack it is, if you are up close to your opponent and right in their face, you will get this result. Again, no matter what type of attack. As you see right there, he just used a key based move and I still countered with an actual attack as opposed to the barrier. So like I said, the barrier is when you are far from your opponent and the attack is when you are actually close to your opponent. And let's just showcase it with Shining Slash to show you that it does counter strike moves as well. And again, right there, as you see, it counters both, guys. This is a move that literally counters both. The difference though is when you are close or far from your opponent. Now you have to be extremely close to get the counter off with the key based ones, like literally extremely close. Right here I will not be able to counter it at all. Watch. You see, as I put up a barrier, you have to be, again, extremely close. Let's get a little bit closer to test if this will even work. And again, I put up another barrier. So you have to be very close. So really the only moves that will get countered with the actual attack are strike based ones, because it's going to be very rare for you to be that close to somebody when they actually throw a key blast or anything like that at you. But now let's test the one last thing, which is how long does the counter actually last? How long is the window of opportunity with it? The window of opportunity with Ruf Ranger is decent. It's very similar to all the other counters, but basically once your character puts his head down to the side like that and puts his arm on his side, the counter frame window is over. It is done at that point, and if you get attacked at that point, you are left wide open. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. There is a little bit of time that you are left wide open, but every single counter has that as well. But that is all the counters in the game, guys. Really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to let me know which counter out of all of these you like the most. Now personally, if I had to choose one, there's no doubt in my mind that I would be going with Burst Rush for multiple reasons. Ruf Ranger is definitely a good counter, no doubt, but Burst Rush to me is the best in the game for, again, multiple reasons. First one is it does literally the most damage out of every single counter in the game. No counter does as much damage as Burst Rush does. The second reason that I have to go with Burst Rush, it literally lets you set up for other things. You can do other things with it. You can combo in with the Kamehameha, with other moves. You can combo with another actual combo, like you can continue the combo going. So there's so many things that you can follow up Burst Rush with, is why I'm saying that to me it is the best one in the game, along with the fact that it does do the most damage. Now the one downfall of Burst Rush is the fact that it's pretty quick and the window is not that long, but at the same time that could be a good thing as well, because you're not going to be sitting there trying to be dumb trying to use a counter when you really don't need to. So again, to me, Burst Rush is the best one out of all the counters in the game. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on this down below. Which counter out of all the ones you just saw in this video are actually your favorite? But all in all, again, man, thank you guys so much for watching. Really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, I hope you have a good day. Peace, y'all.